to the show. I am Lady Wu. Yeah, it's Women's History Month, and women have been making history all month by joining us in studio to talk about their experiences and our experiences as women. Today, though, we're going to get a little bit more personal. We have some featured ladies today who I think you should know more about. I think you should. We see people every day. We meet people, we meet ladies every day, and we think we know about them because of where we meet them and who they're connected to and what their jobs are. But I think we have a deeper appreciation for people when we really get to know who they are, why they are, how they are, and for who they are for. All of those things make a difference. So today we get a chance to meet two leading ladies, just two. There are so many of us who are leading ladies, but we have two to feature today. So thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully you'll learn something and be able to support these ladies even more. I'll let you all introduce yourselves, and I'll start with our Lillian because she's here every week.
Hey, hey, it's our Lillian Kate Bushlund. Happy to be back and be back with these wonderful women. I cannot wait to get into the talking about you guys and what makes you all work and why you are dynamic women in our community.
Wow. Yeah. So tell us who you are.
That's so sweet. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am Ruby Davis. Some people call me Your Honor. Judge Ruby Davis is Birmingham native. Happy to be here. Of course, always happy to share space with you. We've been doing this together for many years. So thanks for having me. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Especially sharing space with the Madam Pettway. So thank you so much also for allowing me to be here on this day with you.
Oh my gosh. Good evening, everyone, and to Lady Wu and to our Lillian, and then Your Honor, Ruby. Vanessa Pettway here. I am delighted to share this space with these powerful women and to be able to share some of the things that inspire me, that drives me, and hopefully inspire others that are listening. So I am delighted to be here, and thank you all so much for having me.
Yes, indeed. One of the questions that I've been asking all of the ladies who've been in is, what is it to be a woman? What is it to be a woman to you?
It's heavy.
Mm-hmm. I've been hearing that.
It's very heavy. And there's no handbook. You're born into it.
Yeah.
You're walking into it. And I feel like you learn on the job, just like parenting. I'm a woman first. So a lot of things that comes with being a woman, people recognize, people respect, and then people don't recognize and people don't respect it. And so a lot of times we're fighting for our voices and spaces. We're fighting to be seen, fighting to be heard, and most importantly, fighting to be appreciated. And so it's heavy. But there are also good things about being a woman, because the people that do see us and that really do appreciate us, we feel that as well. And that helps us carry the load.
I love what you just stated, Ruby, because it is heavy. I see womanhood from the standpoint of creation. I love the fact that God gave us the opportunity to birth things into existence. And so, although it is heavy and I feel like we fight sometimes to be heard and to be seen, but when I think about all the things that we as women birth into existence, when I think about who our leaders are of today, we did that. Come on now, we carried that. We nurtured that. When I think about all of our powerful men and women that are making decisions on behalf of us, a woman was involved in that creation. Even though we needed a seed, we had to carry them, we had to nurture them. And to me, I applaud women because I think God made us and he didn't mess up when he made us. He gave us an amazing ability to birth into creation. And from that, we can talk all night, because when I talk to other women, I'm talking to them about, what are you birthing intentionally?
Intentionally. So we birth things that we don't mean to birth.
Sometimes you birth things you don't mean, because what we fail to realize is that there are seeds that are sown into us, either through our eye gates, through our ear gates. Things that we've heard, things that we've seen, oftentimes shape what we birth. So therefore, we have to be intentional, ladies, about what seeds we allow to be planted into our gardens. So we can go a lot of places with that.
I like that. Let's just start there then. What garden did you come from? Where are you from?
Oh, that's a good one.
Just you on you.
My husband is proud to say he married a country girl.
Okay.
So I was raised in Lowndes County. And my mom and my father came from very humble beginnings. My grandfather was a sharecropper, grew up on a farm. My area, from where I grew up, they didn't pave the roads and probably until I was entering into high school.
Wow.
So I grew up on a very humble location in rural Alabama. And it was education. My mom was a teacher. She taught biology, chemistry, and physics for over 35 years. My father was a preacher and a pastor, so they shaped my world.
I see that.
And then that drove me through education and through other pathways of my life. But that's my beginning.
Okay.
Humble beginnings, loving God, loving learning, because my mom never failed to instill in us the love for books and mathematics and science. So hence my degrees were in biology and chemistry, nuclear medicine. My sister is a chemical engineer by trade. My brother was a mathematician by trade. So all of that was instilled through my mama. See, she was birthing something.
Amen. That is awesome.
Okay, so if we didn't have this moment, we would just think that you were the sheriff's wife.
I love that role, though. I do.
Okay.
I do.
But before we even get to that, we have to acknowledge who the individuals are. Like Pete, like I said, you will meet people and all you will know is the part that they play where you meet them.
Right.
You don't know how they grew up, what they love, what they know. What did you say? What type of medicine?
Nuclear medicine technology.
Nuclear medicine. What is that?
So nuclear medicine technology, it is a form of metabolic imaging. I was trained to use radioactive agents, isotopes. We would inject them into the body. They were very specific for whatever organ of the body we were imaging. So I specialized in nuclear cardiology, and I practiced that at UAB for about 6 years, and then I left and I was managing nuclear cardiology department of Cardiovascular Associates. They are currently located over there in the in the Colonnade area. So I managed their nuclear cardiology department for 3 years. Yeah.
Wow, that is very impressive. Oh my goodness.
I didn't
know.
Look, what?
Baby Einstein in the building. Very awesome.
Wow. So if we wanted to say that are you a scientist, a doctor, a chemist? Where do we put that?
So it really falls into the paramedicines, right? So not a PhD, not an MD.
Okay.
But they were diagnostic imaging technologies. So oftentimes nuclear medicine is used to diagnose cardiovascular diseases. We would image the heart to find where the blocked coronary arteries were. We could image to see if your heart was headed into heart failure. And so oftentimes our tests determine whether you needed intervention, whether you needed heart transplantation. I also did many other organs, cancer diagnoses, because when you hear people having cancers, oftentimes it metastasized to the bone. And so I would do bone imaging to find out whether the cancer had moved throughout, from the organs into the other areas of the body. So, so it's more of a diagnostic form of imaging. It's different from X-ray. X-ray is structure, bone. But nuclear medicine is all about function and of the organs, and we could see metabolically what was going on.
Beauty and brain.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. Ladies, did you all have anything you wanted to ask about just that part? Are you just taking a back?
I have a question. How did you even know that area of medicine existed? Because growing up, for us, a lot of professions I didn't know about. We didn't know about it, especially even today. I love the way you just broke that down. How did you know to aim for that role?
That's a very important question, because it came because I asked somebody. I was actually interested in going into another pathway that wasn't medical school. So initially I went to school thinking I would go to medical school. I came across a friend, and she was in pharmacy school. So I said, you know what? I'd be interested in pharmacy. And I reached out to her to get more knowledge. And she says, girl, I'm not in pharmacy school anymore. I'm in nuclear medicine technology.
Okay.
And that's when I said, what is that? I had never heard of it. And she was the one that introduced me to it. And to this day, we are lasting friends. She was a bridesmaid in my wedding over 31 years ago. But it was my just asking the question, what is that? Now, from there, I've gone over, and done a lot of career fairs and helping other young people become aware of these pathways outside of MD and lawyer, because those are the things we hear all day.
Right.
But there are other amazing career pathways folks could take.
It's about exposure.
It is.
Right?
It
Like
is.
if we don't have these conversations publicly,
Right.
people don't know that we exist or that our professions exist or that we have the impact that we do.
And UAB have the only nuclear medicine technology program in the state of Alabama at the time. There may be others now, but when I went to school, that was the only place you could be trained for it.
Amazing. So we've learned that already.
Mhm.
When you think about the role of woman, and we can go back and forth because we have the same questions and similar questions for you too. But thinking about the role of woman, and we've seen you in circles for years and didn't know that that part of you existed. Didn't even think to know that you worked or anything. Like I said, we really thought that you were your husband's wife, but you're a mother. How is that? Who are you the mother to? Who did you birth that way?
Oh, don't get me started now, because I love my babies. Like Ruby loves her baby. We were just talking about her amazing daughter before we got started. But my daughters are 28 and 27 years old. Our youngest daughter got married in the year on, let's see, was it? Yeah, 22, New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And 22. And they celebrated their first year anniversary last December 31st, 23. So I'm celebrating Gabrielle and Christopher Palmore.
Congratulations.
So excited for them. And they love God and they love each other. And I say that not, I mean every bit of that. I don't talk to her often because they're so in love.
Okay. That's a
But
good thing.
I'm good as long as she's at peace and they're loving one another. My oldest daughter, Markia, is in her third year of medical school, and we're excited about that. And she's loving God and loving her career path as well. Didn't really plan, this is something I saw that on her, but I didn't push that on her. I'm so grateful that God just led her to that discovery of her purpose. And it is so important for parents that you just help steer your children where their interests lie, and then allow them to discover, is that really where my purpose lies, And she found it in medicine, and we're grateful. God has blessed her scholarship in medical school. All 4 years are paid in full, and I can shout right there.
Me too. Me too.
I have a question. Okay, so of course, Sheriff is a force, but he's a lot more when you guys are together. What does that balance look like for you? Because I know he has his work. Then after that, he also has to do engagements with the community and whatnot. And sometimes you have to be a part of that. Then you have to come. He has to come home sometimes, and you get the side that no one else sees. Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe someone didn't do something the way they should have executed it. What does that look like as a powerful woman doing your own thing, but also being the strength for your husband and your family?
That's a really good question. For my husband, he really is what you see, what you get. There is no pretense around Sheriff Mark Pettway. And he's a pretty calm guy. I love that about him. There are no extreme highs. There are no extreme lows. He's pretty middle of the road. Therefore, when he comes home, I almost have to pull it out of him. Like, what's going on?
Today?
How was your day?
Good.
There you go. It was good. I was like, anything big happen? No, all is well. And then I will have friends that'll say, did Sheriff tell you? Folks that are in the office that, did Sheriff tell you? And then I may get something out of, and he'll say, who told you that? And now the team has to tell me, don't tell Sheriff I told you, But he is really calm. When that guy gets home, he can lay his head down on the pillow, and 5 minutes later, he's out, So I am grateful that God gave him the grace not to really know how to process what goes on in his world, because a lot goes on. But he knows how to cast that care over on God and to trust God in everything. Now, I have an entire circle that prays for him around the clock. every morning at 6:30, I have a team that rises up with he and I, and he's leading the prayer every morning. And so we gather around him. We're focused on what we want to cover him on. We've got scriptures that are aligned to what his role is and what we need to see in his and what he does. And what I'm most impressed with is that he leads the charge. It's not just us around him praying, it's him praying and we in agreement.
He leads it.
He leads it.
But was it your idea?
Probably. Because I'm very protective. I'm very protective. But what I know my warfare starts is in the realm of the spirit. And so I try my best because that old girl will try and rise up and want to handle it in her flesh. And she is in existence, but I keep her down. Y'all understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We always keep them down.
Absolutely.
I call her Nessa. Y'all don't want to meet Nessa.
Okay.
Yeah, but Vanessa is always,
Straight out of lounge, baby.
baby, there you go. There you
Okay.
go. Because y'all know as women, we are protectors. Even though our men protect us, I think it's that mama bear in us, or
It's innate.
it's innate. It's like if you come for us, we got you. You know, don't come for us unless we call for you.
Let
Right,
me bring
mamas?
this up. Let me, with you saying that, and I jotted this down the other day at a luncheon that we were at, and I wondered why is it that we always have to make that stand? And this is kind of moving from you all just into Black women and womanhood. Why do we always have to make the stand? Don't come for me. I always have to set that boundary up front. Why do we have to do that?
Why? Why we have to do
Because
that?
as I said earlier, being a woman is heavy. Sometimes people see us, sometimes they respect us, and sometimes they don't. And so when they don't, they come for you. Now, how you address them once they come, we all may handle things differently, but I think a lot of times people develop respect by how you handle them in certain situations. And if you allow them to treat you like a doormat, they will continue to come.
Yes.
But if you stand your grounds or stand on business, as young people say nowadays,
Yeah.
they will understand and they will respect you and act accordingly.
That's
And
right.
unfortunately, in every industry, it exists.
Yeah,
Even
it
me
does.
as a judge, as a lawyer, as a mother, as whatever hat we
Just
wear,
as a woman.
you're going to be tried. Yes, especially as a woman, though. That's just what I think.
Because when it was said, I just was like, why? It connected. I got it. I understand it. I do it. But I was like, why do we have to do that? No matter what platform we're on. This is somebody speaking from a whole other state about her experiences, but she had to say that, and I just was like, will there ever be a day when we don't have to verbalize that?
Will there be a day? The interesting thing is, I think as we as women really support one another, loving one another, respecting one another, and allowing us to express ourselves without jealousy, without envy, there would be no need for me having to say, don't come for me. Because most of that coming from you, comes from a place of either envy, some form of animosity, where they don't really value you. But I want us as women to recognize that we can all express ourselves in our space, in our cause, in our purpose. And I don't take anything away from you when you do that. There's enough space for all of us. And when we recognize that, we can actually walk in peace, celebrating our sisters, celebrating our brother, and not feeling like we should be threatened by their presence. Some of this coming for folks is a matter of them threatened by your presence.
Yeah, and by what they don't know. You don't know me well enough to be threatened by me. I'm open, loving, we're giving, we are balanced.
Right.
And I want to go back to this. We are spiritual.
Yes.
You mentioned God more than you mentioned you and anything else. How important is God to you?
Everything to me. Everything to me. When I acknowledge the fact that my father was a pastor, I came from a long lineage of pastors. My grandfather, my brother, my uncles, raised in the church, really. But I had my own encounter with God when I was probably 17 years old, and that transformed my thinking. I was not the average young person. As a matter of fact, when I would try and use curse words, my friends would say, girl, please, it don't even sound right coming out of your mouth.
Don't do it.
Don't
please.
even do it. So I knew God had a call on my life from a very young age. And then I was that friend where everybody wanted inspiration or someone needed advice. And for whatever reason, I just would always turn to the word of God. I think it became my comfort. It became what I looked to when I needed help, when I needed direction. The word of God was always there for me. So I met my husband in a Bible study. That's where Sheriff Mark Pettway and I met at UAB at a Bible study. And it was ironic because he came there because his ex-girlfriend invited him. And when he got there, I was directing a choir, and he wanted that choir to come to his youth to his church for Youth Sunday. And Sheriff Pettway was the youth director at the time at his church. And so the ex-girlfriend said, "You should meet Vanessa. She's over the choir." And we exchanged numbers from there. And we became very good friends. And a year later, we were engaged to be married.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
I do too.
Oh, I just love that. That's so good.
That's a sweet story. There's some questions in there, but it's really sweet.
Well, come on with the questions.
Baby. It says a lot about you that an ex-girlfriend would say you need to meet her.
Yeah.
What else does it say? It says that. We'll stop there. It says that. That's a beautiful story. And then it's a 31-year-old story.
Yeah.
So that means that somebody knew something. There was some ordination in that thing. There was some orchestration there.
Yeah, our relationship, I truly believe, was ordained by God. But come on, let me just talk to the ladies for a moment.
To the ladies.
That played the fool for a moment, because I did that. I believe the song that says everybody plays the fool. I think at some point, at some times, we've all been that fool. And it was me coming to myself and recognizing that I was more valuable than that, and I didn't need to play myself so small. And then when I made that decision, that is when I really said, "God, it's either you or nothing else." And so I went into more of a pursuit spiritually, went into God, and that's how I started doing the Bible studies more consistently. And my husband showed up at the Bible study when I had made up my mind. I was no longer going to play myself small. I was no longer going to be used and abused. That's when God allowed me to be found, really, by my husband. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I don't want to go down that path because we have other guests here.
That's
And
good,
I don't,
though.
and
I love
it.
it.
We're taking notes. You're fine.
Yes, I just
Go
love
to Bible
this. I
study.
can listen to this. I can listen to you all day.
Wow.
That's so good.
Wow, but that is the best part about it. I want women to know that you were so valuable, that God loves you. He would love you so much. When I think about the fact that he basically made man, but he created woman.
Yes.
It's something to think about, that he was so intricate in how he made us, that he would give us the organs so that we could birth and bring forth other things. And so the devil hates women. I just want to put that out there, because we birth into existence his enemies. We birth into existence those individuals that would crush his head. We birth into existence, right, the new judges, the ones that are going to rule and reign in our atmosphere. We birth those individuals. So the devil hates us. And so as a result, he will bring counterfeits your way to make you think that he's all that, and that, you need this in your life. When in actuality, I tell women, seek first the kingdom of God. Seek first God's ways of operating and existing. And then all these other things will come into play. But when you seek first God, what happens is, ladies, your antenna comes up. You become more aware of what's real and what's fake. So when the brothers step up, you can immediately go, that's fake there. That's fake. That ain't real.
Absolutely.
That ain't real. Spend time with God will help you understand what's real and what's fake. And so when I came to myself, as I told you, and recognized, that came through me just saying, "God, I need more of you. I need more of you." And he showed me that this brother that I was with at the time was leading me away from him. So I just woke up one day and said, "It's over." I had to ask God for strength for that, for the ladies that are listening, and say, I'm so in love with this man, even though I know he treats me like crap, even though I know he doesn't respect me. but those are soul ties because you've given of yourself to him. And so you're tied and connected to him. You're going to have to ask God to help you to loose that. And he will, if you ask him, he will. I'm a living witness. And once I loose that, then I was able to see clearly what was real, what was really real. And but I love talking about this subject, ladies. Y'all got me on a subject that I can talk on all day.
This
Yeah.
this is life, and it's life for so many of us, well, for all of us, because we are, as women, created in that space. We are helpers, we are nurturers, we are lovers, and a lot of times that is very much disconnected from our purpose.
Yeah, and see, men love that about us, that we're nurturers. They love their mamas. Most men love their mamas. If you find a brother that don't love his mama, something is really wrong with him psychologically. And I know I'm talking to a counselor or someone who understands. But if you know what they love about their mamas, they love their mamas because they are nurturers. And usually when they fall in love with one of us, it's because they found that same nurturing, caring nature about us. We tend to run and meet their needs. But we have to be careful, ladies, when we do that. Don't start serving and nurturing too quickly. There are times when you're just here to just let them show up and show you who they really are before you start running. I told my daughters, we don't date initially. We're friends.
Yeah, I'm good in that.
Yeah, be friends. It's okay to be friends 1st. And then once that brother shows you who he really is, now you can determine if this is someone that is worthy enough to be called husband. But we don't go to dating until I see that character trait. Does he add up? What are we looking for? And I can talk on another day on that. But what are we looking for when we start looking for husband traits? And until that day, we're just friends.
Yeah.
What up, homie?
Thank you.
So, what up, homie?
So much in that, and that is a big part of who you are.
It is.
So, last question for you, just individually, are you in purpose?
Oh, definitely. How do you know you're in purpose?
How do you know?
This is how I know I'm in purpose. I know I'm in purpose when I can wake up and do it and nobody pays me to. I know I'm in purpose when I can decree and begin to operate in what God has called me for, and others are transformed by it. So I want to know, whose life are you impacting, and are they being transformed? Because to me, that defines your purpose. Purpose also is revealed when you see other people doing it and you get excited about it. You're like, please tag me, I want next, I want next. That's when you know you're in purpose. When you see somebody else doing it and it gets your juices flowing. And so I'm anointed to do what I know God has called me to preach, first of all. I'm anointed to coach. I'm anointed to help others, inspire them, to help shape them, to help them find their purpose, their goals. And because that's what I know, that's what I thrive in, and others are blessed by it. Others are being transformed by it. Yeah.
Look, I heard you pray at a luncheon one day, and I said, I want more. Like, this was just a prayer to bless the food. All we say normally is Jesus live and we eat. You went in. I said, oh, I was scared. So I just, oh my goodness. I said, where'd she come from? So you are definitely anointed in that space and appointed to share it and to have the platform that you do with your husband. So that's all a beautiful package. We're going to be talking more. Ruby Davis.
Yes.
Judge Ruby Davis.
Your honor.
Yes.
Your honor.
I'm so honored to be in this room,
Do you
picking up
really?
these jewels that's being dropped. Thank you for creating this space.
Man,
Both of
this
you.
is
And thank you for sharing.
Thank you all for coming and for sharing with us in this month. Ruby, we've been running with you for a minute.
Yes.
Running,
Yes.
like run with Ruby.
Yes.
And Ruby had on some jogging shoes, some kind of tennis shoes in these streets of Birmingham running. And then people started coming behind Ruby running. So I'm like, okay, so it's got to be something that they want to run where she's running. So then the rest of us were running with Ruby. And that's not where it all started, though.
No, it's not.
So there was a time when you ran by yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where did this running start? Where did your running start?
So that's a very, very great way to open up. So for me, I love to say that I'm Ruby Davis, and some people call me Your Honor because they haven't always called me that. They haven't always honored me or any role that I've had.
Mm.
My position as a judge, I came about it in a very non-traditional way. And so when I say that, I can't say to you all that I ever wanted to be a judge as a child. I can't say that I even wanted to be an attorney as a child. That was not my dream.
Mhm.
And so I actually became a mother at a very young age. I was a high school senior when I had my daughter. But even before then, I grew up here in Birmingham, Birmingham native, Pratt City, spent most of my childhood. And my parents divorced when I was about 2 years old. And so I too had very humble beginnings.
Mhm.
I was the youngest of three. And I always say my mom was tired by the time she got to me. And so, very humble beginnings, end up having a child as a high school senior. And so I went to work in corporate America while my friends went to college. So I missed out on the traditional college experience, but I went to a community college here, Lawson State,
Mhm.
and I worked full time by day. And once I finished Lawson, I went to Faulkner, also in the evenings, still working full time. And so in my mind, all I needed to excel in corporate America was a degree, and I could apply for management executive leadership roles.
Mhm.
That was my plan. And as you know, if you want to make God laugh, you share your plans with
Yeah,
him,
absolutely.
and ultimately he has the final say. And so once I got my degree, I'm on my way, I'm about to be a manager, and I kept applying for promotional opportunities, and I received a lot of rejection.
Mm.
I was denied every time. I was qualified, I had the experience. And so eventually, I didn't give up because I knew that God promised me a promotion. And so eventually, I received that promotion and another one and another one. And my daughter, when she was about 8 or maybe 9, she watched the movie Legally Blonde. That's the movie that literally changed my life because she came home with this big, bright idea. Mom, you should go to law school. You'll be a great attorney. And I was like, oh no, I can't go to law school. I mean, I had my plan. But my daughter, who I love so much, as you said, Miss Pettway, she planted that seed. And so I started praying about it, thinking about it, because I too come from a faith based family. So I knew, let me pray, God, is this you? And so God revealed that law school was the path for me.
Okay.
And so I decided to go to law school. I struggled in law school. It was very difficult for me because I did not sacrifice my life as I was supposed to and just focus in on law school. So I struggled. And so by the time I finished law school, my GPA was so low that the dean sent an email saying that I would not pass the bar. I should not take the bar. My GPA was a 2.2. And I thought, okay, here that thing is again, the rejection, which I was used to it. Being a young mother, now in law school, being rejected from a job. So rejection has always followed me. So I don't run from it because it's inevitable, but I want to prove these people wrong. And so I prepared for the bar exam like never before. I treated preparing for it like a job.
Yeah.
I prepared for it all day, every day. And by the grace of God, I passed the bar on the first attempt.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I
And
heard
so
it don't happen like that.
No,
it's
Right.
a
don't.
monster.
No,
It's
it
a monster.
don't.
I took a 3-day test. It's a monster exam. So I
Right.
called that dean right away, like, hey, by the way, you were wrong.
Okay.
And so a year later, I resigned from my position in corporate America and I started practicing law.
Mhm.
Life was good, no complaints. I started building a practice. I was advertising, doing everything that I enjoyed doing, or learning to do these things. And 6 years in, I got a phone call from a mentor. And he said, Ruby, you should consider running for judge. This position is about to open up. And I was like, oh, no, I can't. I can't do that. I have a staff. I have this. I have so many reasons why I can't. And he said, you're scared. And I was. I was very afraid because any elected official will tell you the most humbling thing I've ever done is put my name on a ballot and hope that people will vote for you. Come out, first of all, and
Yeah.
vote for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I scared? I went back in prayer, like, God, is this you? And I got the confirmation, decided to run for office. And luckily, the community, oh my God, the support was absolutely amazing. And to this day, I met some people on the trail that I still keep in touch with them. And again, by the grace of God, I had a primary and a general election. I was successful in both without a runoff. And here I serve. It's been 3 years now, serving in my 6-year term. So only by the grace of God, and I never would have imagined from my humble beginnings being where I am today. So when I'm asked to share my story or invited out for these type of topics, I'm always
Yeah.
overjoyed just
Yeah.
to share and be in this space and to hopefully encourage the next woman who finds herself in a season of rejection to know that you will reap the rewards
Yeah.
of that rejection. Just don't allow the rejection to define you.
Oh,
Absolutely. That's well
yeah,
said.
that's solid. You wrote a
Absolutely.
book
Oh yeah.
about this, and I mean, like we're giving abbreviated versions of your stories, but you wrote a book about your life, and it was something about hearsay. What were people hearing? Because I hear judgment, I hear rejection, I hear limits. What were they saying?
Oh, I love that. So you can only imagine as a 16-year-old girl that was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I was the topic of gossip and ridicule, and she ruined her life, and she's not married, and she hadn't graduated. I mean, you can only imagine what the community had to say, and to some point, they may have been correct because I was a child with a child, and so it did look like, OMG, she's ruined her life, but God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew I had made a big mistake. I knew I had done something that I probably shouldn't have done. But what do we do now? But luckily, I had a great support system. I had a great family. Her father, his family, everybody supported me because there was no way I would have been able to go to college and do
Yeah.
everything I did without the support. But it was tough. It wasn't easy. It became my norm. So it was easy to me. I didn't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on it now, I'm like, how did I do that? Like, how did we overcome that? But being the topic of gossip is not news to me now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when people come for me now, or if I sit in spaces where I'm judged or some people just kind of misunderstand me, I get so tickled. And I like it. And I'm like, it's okay. I heard something today. I heard something yesterday. I said, oh, wow, they don't know me. And if you don't know me, that's your loss because I don't believe in convincing you of who I am. I don't convince anybody of anything. I say what I mean what I say. And if you feel me, if you get to know me, you'll know what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And because of my upbringing and dealing with the hearsay, I'm just used to it. And I feel like God equipped me for that early so that wherever I go on this journey, I can deal with the talk from others and the hearsay. So that's pretty much where hearsay came from.
That's awesome.
Ladies.
Well, I have a question for you. Of course, no matter where we are as Black women in the community, we're always having to blaze a new trail or to break a glass ceiling somewhere. What does your glass ceiling look like where you are now as your honor, as a community partner, as a person in the community now? What does your glass ceiling look like now?
Oh, wow. I would say, as that young girl, as that young teenager who never would have imagined my life as it is today, I would like to hope that I broke the glass ceilings for women or girls that find themselves in those situations where they may think this is the end of the road for themselves. I have friends that had children at the same time as I did. We're all doing well, and everyone is satisfied with where they are. And I was the one that went a little bit further because of the grace of God that was on my life. Because again, I was clueless. I had no idea about running for office or going to law school. I had a job. They said, get you a job, work 30 years, retire. That was my plan. But God saw fit for me to do something else. And I just hope that by me writing the book, sharing the story, it will encourage or motivate a young person or any person that finds themselves in a situation where they may feel hopeless or feel like the time is up. Because if Ruby Davis can do it, so can you.
Right. Ruby, I wanted you to share because you mentioned with your running for judge, you had a mentor that
Yes.
called you and said you should do this. How important is it for other women to have mentors in their lives? Can you expound on that and tell
Oh, I
us what
love
the
that.
impact of mentors have meant to you?
So I use the hashtag a lot, mentors matters.
Yes.
Mentors matter. Because without mentors in my life, I would not be where I am today. I'm the first lawyer in my family, the first judge in my family. I did not know what that even looked like. And so, by the grace of God, the people that mentor me, most of them, I wasn't introduced to them. We met in a space, almost like you and Sheriff Pettway. We were in the same space at the same time, maybe in the courtroom, maybe at a legal function, one of our functions. But I may go up to the person. I may have an admiration for the person. I may want to know them. Some people I've admired from a distance for a while, even you. And hearing you today, it's like, oh my God, I want to
You
know
see
more
why?
about
Yeah.
her. Yes. And so I find women and I try to mimic them, or I say to myself, would she do this? Would she do that? Or men too. Some people that I just respect for their craft, whether they're lawyers, whether they're pastors, whether they're teachers, whatever they are, Even when Barack Obama, when he ran for president, he changed my life. I was obsessed with him and Michelle. And I would say things like, would he do this? Is this a great idea? Just even what I post, I try to compare to people that I admire and respect to make sure that I'm along those same lines. And if I have an opportunity to meet someone that I admire, I don't let that go to waste. I will approach them. I will say things to them to make that connection. And on the flip side of that, I've had young lawyers and law students approach me, and it's extremely humbling because I was just them feel like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so when I meet them and they're like, "Oh my God, I met one girl. It was so emotional. She was emotional meeting me. She started to cry and she couldn't get words out. I was like, stop. No. I was like, I'm not that person. I'm like, please, please. And we connected. She's in law school. She's getting ready to finish up. So I make sure that I reach back as well because if it wasn't for my mentors, how would I have known how to navigate these spaces?
So basically, mentorship can go either way. Either I can choose you or you can choose me. I don't have to. It doesn't have to be a school situation where you're paired or big brother. No, I like you.
Yes.
You really give me something. Can we talk? Can we go? So yeah, I love that. And I heard her say that too. I was like, okay, mentorship. Who are your mentors? Who are your examples? Who are your leaders? And for both of you to share that you came from spaces where you didn't see who you are today. You didn't,
It didn't exist.
like it didn't even exist.
My mom wanted me to go into biology and chemistry so I could be a teacher.
Oh, wow.
Because in our world, in our very humble world, you were either preachers or teachers,
Yeah.
nurses, and if you just happened to get the right support, you could go to law school and become or a medical doctor. But all these other career choices, no one talked to us about them. We didn't know about them. And so it was mentors really that or friends. And what I love about Judge Ruby that she talks about that I wish other women would just pull from her is that when she was in spaces with other people of influence or notable characters, she introduced herself, she engaged with them in conversation because I see so many young people in a room taking a chair, being a wallflower. And that's not how Judge Ruby got to where she is today. She entered the space and she started engaging. She put that beautiful smile on and she went up, go up and make an introduction. So I just want other women to know you create space for yourself when you would just dare to go up and just introduce yourself. You'll be amazed at how many people are willing to help you if you'll just introduce yourself and say so.
Last 5 minutes on this portion of the show. Then we're gonna come back with another part. Ruby, we talked about your daughter giving you, like she was the one that was given the vision for you. That's huge. Tell us about your daughter and about your relationship.
So my daughter, I like to call her my visionary. I had her in a season of, I was in a space where I made a mistake. I was young, I was having a child. And so it amazes me that that same space that I was in, God used this child, this seed, to speak so much life into me. I can remember as a young girl, she was always in church with me as well. And so one day she said to me out of the clear blue sky, scared me to death. She said, "My God sees everything." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, thank you, baby. I know, but what you seeing?" So she's always been that person that can speak to me, and she knows me for me. Like she knows everything about me. And so I always thought that she would go to law school and we would practice law together. I always have my plans. My plans never work. So I'm like, Lord, you just tell me what she'll do. And so she ended up going to Tuskegee, getting a political science degree, and saying, "No, I don't want to go to law school." She was headed to law school. My plan was happening. And then she said she wanted to go to New York City to work in the fashion industry. And I thought to myself, well, she can go to law school later. I will later. I'm still on it. And so every now and then I mentioned to her, she said, "No, I'm not doing it." I said, "Okay." And I back off because, as you said, I would never want to force her or encourage her to do something that she wouldn't enjoy because that's important. And so she is 26 years old now. She's in New York. She lives in Brooklyn. She works for I would just say a reputable company in New York, but she absolutely enjoys what she does, and I don't think she plans to come back to Alabama.
Are you sad?
Kind of, because I don't plan to leave, but she's just like, "I don't know why you never left, Mom." Like I just never had a reason to. Like Birmingham is home, and it's been good to me, so I love it here.
You go to New York.
I visit. It's too cold.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
I
cold.
feel
You got
it.
somewhere. You got somewhere to visit.
Yes, I do get to
Okay.
visit
What makes you happy?
people, my
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
Like I love entertaining. I love this. I just love being in a space where everyone is happy. I can feel the
Yes.
energy in this space. I love helping people. I love when people can take something away from me. If I can pour into
Mhm.
you and you come back to me and say, you helped me with this, or I
Mhm.
learned this from you, I feel so fulfilled. And I think that's what my life on the bench is about, making an impact on the community. When I got ready to run for judge, one of my friends said, why you running for judge? You know, lawyers make more money than judges. And I said to them, there comes a point in your life when your impact becomes more important than your income. And so God is my source.
Yes.
So it didn't matter to me about that. And so today I enjoy what I do because I feel like I'm making an impact. Just this past Friday, I had 158 fifth and sixth graders from Pleasant Grove Middle School in the courthouse, in my courtroom, where we had two courtrooms. And everybody like, what are they doing here? They must have wanted to rent the courtroom because I need them to see this.
Yeah.
Because had I saw a judge at an early age, that could have made an impact on me. And so I rolled up, I had a conversation with them, allowed them to ask me questions, and I call that gentle judging. So that if or when they have to experience a courtroom, they will at least have an idea what it looks like. And not all
Right.
judges are harsh or mean. So
I
it
like
was
that.
very interesting, and they had great questions. And so I just try to make sure to leave, as much as I can for the next generation.
I love it. Gentle judging.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Before we wrap this part up, what would you say to some of those now? I want you to dig down in your bag. I want you to go back to prep.
Okay.
What would you say to some of those who would say she ain't equipped to be no judge? And I can hear him saying it like that. You know that like that. What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I think the people decided. The people elected me. God called, He prepared, He equipped me for such a time as this.
Mm-hmm.
But once my name was on the ballot, people did say that. And they still say that today.
Mm-hmm.
Colleagues, lawyers, legal professions,
Mhm.
regular people, everybody have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, people tell me things that people say because they know I genuinely do not care. And I will still be nice to you. I had people on my campaign team that I knew drugged me as a teenage mother. But they also had campaign signs that would help me out. So I have to see a big
Yeah.
picture. It's okay.
That's right.
And I'm learning how to walk in that forgiveness and not hold it against people. But at the end of the day, your success speaks for you. At the end of the day, I'm a judge. Whether they think I'm qualified, I haven't been removed, I haven't had any complaints. So apparently, I'm doing a pretty decent job because the people chose me over 3 other candidates. And so when I hear naysayers, I always get tickled. It's just so funny to me because they have no idea what they're saying and to whom they're saying it. But it's not my place to say, well, yes, I am qualified. Let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you. No, just Google me. I mean, I'm there. You'll see my
You say it again.
qualifications. Just Google
Google
me.
me.
There are a few sites, there are a few links, So I just kind of make a light of it because those people that are talking, clearly they're not happy with themselves. As you've already said, a lot of times people have their own insecurities and they're just putting off on you things that they didn't fulfill in their lives. So I've learned the older I've gotten not to take it personal and not to hold it against people. But sometimes it's hard because you feel disappointed in certain people. But then you just look back over your life and what God has done and what He continues to do. Who really cares about the naysayers?
That's good. So would you say that you're in purpose?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mainly because of the impact. The impact, I believe, and I hope it will be here when I'm long gone. I hope they remember the experiences coming to the courtroom and me mentoring the next generation. I don't miss an opportunity to speak to kids, no matter what grade level, because I think it's important that I won't always be here.
Yeah.
These are temporary positions.
Absolutely.
I mean, I go up for re-election every 6 years. Who's to say I'll get elected again? So the influence, the power, the title that I may have today, I may not have tomorrow. And so I keep that in mind. And because I enjoy what I do so much, and I could do it, as you said, without even being paid. And it's so peaceful. It's the most peaceful job I've ever had in my life. And so it's peace that surpasses our understanding.
Coming back, I want to know how being a judge is peaceful.
Thank you,